From the place that revolutionized the screwdriver, Australia's Phillip Island, sanctioned by the Absolute Beginners League, this is Global SimRacing Channel Round 4 coverage of the Formula Neagle Season 21 Championship. Coming into the season, Lee Anderson, well, he only had 13 career starts. The Englishman made a full assault on the championship in Season 18. He won once, finishing just behind Greg Seitz, who would not be denied the crown back in Season 18. Another full-on effort last season, again, saw a race win, but only earned the bridesmaid spot in points, as David Burns was the one that was able to pull away with the championship then. And after 3 events this season, Anderson has raced his frosted purple Skippy to victory lane twice and holds a commanding 34-point lead in the standings over Andrew Leach, who is coming off his 2 best career finishes. The table is set for the second half of the season, but the racing gods are indeed pranksters, known to try and yank the cloth out from beneath the finery, often with disastrous results. A rule package without any drop race insurance equates broken china with broken dreams. Will Anderson's cup stay on his saucer? Find out now as all the simulated Skippy action streams your way, live as it happens, right here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Peace and good health, and welcome to yet another Formula Neagle broadcast. Up in the press box today, I am Adam Young. along with DJ Clark. We've got Sean Ambrose on director duties and Dougie Beard running the cameras as usual on GSRC broadcast, and also Jack Worrell helping us out on the sidelines here for today. Now, Formula Neagle moved its current format in about season 5. Yes, it's been that long ago if you've been following along with the Absolute Beginners League. And ever since then, Phillip Island, we've only been here for 3 events. And it's always put on just a fantastic show. Former champion Tuan Tran won here in season 11. He got over Eero Num, which was a very tough thing to do then. Diego Francisco won here in season 14, if I remember right. I believe that was Diego's first win in the Absolute Beginners Week. Again, over Eero Num. Last season, on his way to his second championship, David Burns won over the bridesmaid, it seems like, here at Phillip Island, Eero Num. Well, Eero Num isn't here today, but 33 career wins, and he was 0 for 3 here at Phillip Island. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to try to go 0 for 4 here for today. So, why don't we go ahead and take a real quick look around Phillip Island, see what this place is all about, and what you might expect here in the Skippy.
Welcome to Phillip Island. As the name implies, this track is located on a splotch of land off the south coast of Australia near Melbourne. While there's been plenty of racing here for close to a century, the track's current incarnation has only been around since the late 80s. And this version is a doozy. With only 12 turns spread across the roughly 4.5 kilometers, it's a decently fast circuit. But what really makes this place stand apart is the incredible variety in those few corners. From negative to positive camber, early apexes, late apexes, blind crest, hairpins, sweepers, if you name it, it's probably got it. On top of that, the front stretch tends to offer up a slipstream with its incredible length, but it then forces the drivers into a game of chicken by chucking them into the frightening doing. Corners like Lukey Heights stretches a car's grip to the limit and then shocks you with a sudden downhill braking into MG. Retaining something of an old-school twist, unlike most modern courses, Phillip Island has earthen embankments running along many parts of the track. While it's meant to keep the cars safely retained within the circuit's confines, anyone unfortunate enough to manage to jump them will be faced with a ton of damage for their troubles. A variety of types of racing take place at the track, including motorcycles, lower-level open-wheelers, and touring cars. Possibly the most well-known among those is the Australian Supercars Championship. With the Aussie reputation of having dangerous, difficult, and challenging circuits, Phillip Island certainly holds up to the standard. The beautiful views of the beach and the ocean may lure some of the fans in, but there's no doubt that the incredible racing at this unique track keeps them around.
Now, as I said, every time the Absolute Beginners League has come here, it's been a whale of a show. And usually this would be the time where I would turn it over to my co-commentator today, DJ Clark, for the update on what Phillip Island's going to be all about. But our third commentator today, Jack Worrell, actually has more experience here. So, Jack, what can you tell us about Phillip Island?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, and hello everybody. Thank you for joining us in the commentary box here at GSRC. And well, Phillip Island, it's a circuit which has got lots of undulations. Sometimes you don't quite see it when you're spectating, but in the car you really do feel it as well. And obviously these drivers in the Skip Barbers, it's renowned for being quite a soft, quite a spongy car, and it moves a lot underneath you, and that undulation within the circuit will really play an effect throughout the race. And it's got 12 corners over almost 4.5 kilometers, so it is quite a long circuit for so little corners. But some of the corners that I really think we should be looking out for today is the MG turn, in theory turn 10, and then the Honda hairpin. I think that will be the prime overtaking opportunity, a downhill right-hander, very sharp right-hander to lead into then an uphill left-hander, so quite a switchback circuit, but lots of heavy braking zones and lots of very fast sweeping corners, so lots of action coming up, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's always been exciting. I mean, every time we come here, we didn't know what was going to go on until the last lap. But here this season so far, at least the championship standings, we've got a pretty good idea of what's going on. And Lee Anderson continues to try to run away with this thing right now. 76 points up over Andrew Leach's 32. And here so far, I do not see Andrew Leach on the rundown here for this afternoon. So that's going to be an even wider gap trying to compare here. Eric Lukel right now sitting in third. He is, in fact, here. Andre Salander is here, and Yosyunk is here. Yosyunk actually showing quite a bit of speed here for this afternoon. But Lee Anderson, all he has to do here at this point is just try to keep his nose clean. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And of course, there is a second championship. We'll throw it over to DJ for the F2 driver standings.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, Eric Lunkel leading the F2 driver standings with 54 points. Right behind him, 8 points back is Andre Salander. Frederick Neptune back 22. Nicholas Falk and Henrik Kamara rounding out that top 5 of the Formula 2 driver standings. As we move on here to the team standings, you see Team Combacht leading the standings with 41 points. Street Ends Team 4, 5 points back of them. My personal favorite team on this this Formula Neagle circuit, Two Stupid Dogs, back in third place, 7 points back. AM Racing Team back 10, and Streetlands Team 1 back 12 points.
Of course, that is tight, and the team standings, and admittedly, from even the series organizers itself, kind of took a back seat the last couple of seasons, but it's starting to get some momentum again here as we work through season 21, and hopefully here in a few months we'll be seeing season 22 start up. Of course, the Absolute Beginners League, if you're unfamiliar with the series, we always just kind of roll into even more seasons. We try to fit in a few a year, and that's why we're talking about season 21. Everything is one a year. It's not like that, but we are working round 4 here for today, and that means there are 2 more left after this afternoon. Skip Barber, Formula 2000 is the machine. It will be a 40-minute race. It is an open setup with a 51% fuel limit, and of course with that 51% fuel limit, that means pit road, once we get a little bit past halfway, starts to become a very, very, very busy place here. And it is a standing start, as you would expect from an open wheel series overseas. So, qualifying now, and qualifying here, DJ, is going to be when we first get our really true sense of just how fast and who's going to be competitive here for today with all this traffic.
That is indeed the case, Adam, and as if you look at the charts right now, to the surprise of absolutely no one, of course I've been pipped there and saying it, Lee Anderson leading the way, but now we see Neil Bamber, Just Young really popping up there. We're going to see times probably around the 47s, 48, 1 minute 47, 1 minute 48s. Really and truly, though, qualifying not going to be as important here as it is in other circuits. As we had pointed out, you're going to have some great overtaking opportunities. And as always with the Skippy, the draft is going to play mega on this track, as well as the ability to just keep that power and speed through the corners, minimizing mistakes. That is the biggest way to get past here in Formula Neagle, is if you can minimize mistakes and pressure the guy in front of you into just running a little bit wide, scrubbing off a little bit of speed, chances are you're going to get by.
Jack, of course, at Phillip Island, we've already talked about how you've got a little experience. I've got to ask, have you ever had a chance to make it over to this racetrack?
No, I haven't. It's definitely on the bucket list, whether it be even virtually or in real life. I've watched many a video and many a streamer hosted here at Phillip Island, and it's one of those circuits where you just can't really get enough of it. With on a great shot now of Josh Brain, and you can see the undulation going downhill. You saw the nose of the car dive into the ground. So in a car that is already quite low, it's going to be maybe something to think about, that you could bottom out the car, whether you've got half the car on a curb and then you're going downhill and there's a slight compression going into a hairpin. You've got to take that into consideration as well. And if you're battling 2, maybe even 3 wide, you never know with this series, it's going to be a busy old race.
And of course, you mentioned the 3 wide. That is something that you will see quite often here today as we go down the front straight. Sometimes even going into turn 1, would not be surprised to see some 3 wide on the approach to turn 4. Of course, the Honda corner That hairpin, you got to get that thing, you got to get that sorted out before you actually get into the corner, though. But still, it will be exciting to watch as Jos Junk now has taken the provisional pole, followed by Burns and Aaron Law. And it's worth to mention, of course, that the three top qualifiers also do get some bonus points as well in this series. So, you know, if you're somebody like Jos Junk, that you're in a tight battle for that F2 championship, obviously you want to try to, excuse me, not the F2 championship, for the F1 championship, at least for second place and all that, you want to try to get as many points as you can. And so far, he'll get the maximum bonus points as long as he can hold on to that pole. We only got a few minutes left here, and still some fast guys to lay down some quality times.
It's a great point about Junk in the top 3 qualifiers. The other thing to keep in mind about this circuit that's really makes it unique is the layout of the curbing. Normally when we see a circuit, for F1 fans out there, you always talk about, you know, Austria having very aggressive curbing or things like that. This track actually has 2 different types of curbing on it. There are curbs with the rumble strips that you're able to actually run over and get a decent amount of grip from. And then you're also going to come up against flat, smooth curbing that you don't want to put a tire on for fear that you're going to throw the car. Sometimes you'll see the 2 in the same corner. For example, coming up through turn 9, prime example of that. It starts off with those rumble strip corners and then transitions into those flat curbs. So you're going to see guys really, quote-unquote, abuse the track limits a little bit. You're going to see guys running out to the curbs, actually braking on the curbs, specifically going into turn 1. You're going to see people doing that to set it up. As we look at the standings now, though, what's going to be really interesting is our points leader, Lee Anderson. I was going to talk about how he was all the way down, and now he's jumped up to 3rd to the surprise of absolutely no one. The reverse commentator's jinx strikes again.
And I don't think Lee Anderson's going to complain about any of that. And also on this next lap, it's going to be interesting to watch Jos Junk, Andre Salander, David Burns. They're all in a pack that are running together here as well, along with Eric Lukkel, who has been known to put down some laps. But of course, Jos Junk, very good to see him up at the front right now, running 2nd. He has not had the best of seasons in qualifying. Watching Frederick Neptune come across the line. Here comes GSRC commentator Ryan Walker. He's out there 4 days, qualified in the top 10 so far. And Jos Junk here, he's qualified down in the teens at times here for this season. Part of the excitement has been watching him try to cut and dice through the field. It'll be very interesting to see what he can do without having to necessarily do that here for today. As David Burns slides to the back of that pack, I don't think he's going to have as good of a lap as what he wants. Very interested to see here what Andre Salander behind Jos Junk and Sebastian Johansson can do here as well. As now it's pretty much full throttle all the way to the start-finish line. You see David Burns pulling off to pit road. He's not going to go ahead and try to attempt another lap. What that's done is done for him. Here they come. We'll see what they can do as far as sorting themselves out on lap times here. And Andre Salander improves quite a bit. Sebastian Johansson, he improves quite a bit as well. They moved up to 6th and 7th. And Jos Junk does not improve his time. Oh, just behind these guys, Timmy Nylander moves up into 2nd. These guys all cross the finish line with enough time to get one more lap in here. And of course, Jack, now the pressure's mounting on some of these guys here to try to not have to get caught up in traffic early.
It really is. I think that is the key part of qualifying these cars. You've got to make sure you're behind someone to get that extra little bit of draft assistance. But if they're maybe a tenth, even a couple of tenths slower at a lap, that's going to cost you time more than it's going to gain you time, because we all know catching is one thing and overtaking is definitely another. And in these cars, overtaking, I'm sure these guys make it look easy going 3 wide, like you mentioned, down the Gardner Straight, which is the start-finish straight. But then if you're on a qualifying lap, you are trying to squeeze every little piece of power out of this little space frame Skip Barber Formula 2000. So you've got to make sure you are on the very edge of adhesion, and any little outside play, whether that be a car in front of you that's slightly slower or you get in some dirty air, that will play a massive effect. And with this being the closing stage of the qualifying as well, if you make one mistake or get caught with somebody else, which I think Jos Junk just did
right
in
there,
the back of the corner, I think that would possibly... that is possibly something that can happen, and somebody else off the road as well. And it's just showing the pressure that these guys are under to try and get these final quick quali laps in.
Yeah, all those guys that were up there, except Sebastian Johansson, I think are going to have to abandon that lap. It's going to be for naught. Once those guys come across the line, looking at seeing who's going to be behind him. But we'll see what Josh Brain here can do. He comes across the line now, does not improve on his time. Sebastian Johansson, looks like he picked up a 0x at least in all that. Nylander's pulling off. Christopher Giros pulling off. Aaron Law, he's just decelerating. I think almost everybody here. We got still a few in the back. Mackenzie Mann, Eric Lundberg, Peter Huston. See what these guys can do if they can improve their time. Dennis Russ coming across the line here. Doesn't improve it. Mackenzie Mann and Eric Lundberg. Eric Lundberg, I think, is going to be a new name here for today. And he improves his time just a little bit. 13th position. Peter Huston actually did move up just a little bit. Frederick Neptune. And of course, these are all now on the cool down cycle. So once they come across the line, they are in fact done. Frederick Neptune is done, and it looks like that is going to be about it. We ended up with at least 23, maybe 24 cars here for today. So we'll go ahead and go through the running order here as we're going to start this race in the grid in just a moment. David Burns will be taking the pole, starting on the row 1, followed by Lee Anderson in second. Row behind them is going to be Timmy Nylander, followed by Eric Lukel. Ryan Walker, GSRC commentator, sneaking in up there in 5th. Yost Young will be starting in 6th alongside him. Aaron Law and Sebastian Johansson will make up row 4, and row 5 is going to Andre Solander and Josh Brain. DJ?
Coming home in 11th place, Neil Bamber, followed by Christoph Gillis. Then in 13th, Eric Lundberg, followed by Peter Houston. Frederick Neptune taking the first spot on row 8, followed by Matt Tempest. Rob Hopp and Dennis Russ make up row 9. Peter Reed and Mackenzie Mann making up row 10.
And I'll take the last bit here. Kai Alpstead will be in 21st. Kyle Opsey will be in 22nd. And row 12 is going to be Jason Guerrera. I do not know who that guy is in 24th position. Ralvis sent us here. We'll see if he actually takes the grid. He just joined the session a little while ago. Did not lay down a qualifying time. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. So at least 23 cars taking the grid, maybe 24. And once again, as always here, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be an exciting run into turn 1 and then eventually turn 2 into the southern loop. On the weather side of it, 18 degrees centigrade, track temperature 28 degrees centigrade. So it's not too bad. The thing that we're going to catch here, though, is the wind. It is quite windy out of the west right now, and that is enough to affect these cars, with them being so light and, you know, kind of more aerodynamic bricks than anything else, huh, guys?
Very much so. And as you and Jake both pointed out, this is going to be a stellar run down all the way to the hard braking line of turn 4. It's not a lot of heavy braking. It's a lot of coasting, a little bit of trail braking, trying to get it. So you're going to see a lot of 2-3 wide as these guys try to jockey for position into that prime overtaking spot of the Honda turn.
All right, well, the engines are revving up here. We're getting ready to go green. Wait for them to release the cars, and here they go. David Burns leading the field down. Lee Anderson immediately sliding over in front of Timmy Nylander. We did end up with 24 cars taking the green light here. David Burns has that jump that he wanted. Lee Anderson trying to use a little bit of that draft to get up there. Eric Lukel already working his way around Timmy Nylander, and Ryan Walker making a move on Yost Young here very early on. Very well behaved as they go through 2. Now they go through the southern loop. Timmy Nylander siding just a little bit. You'll see that quite a bit in the Skip Barber machines here today. But so far, your top 3 pretty well settled, and it looks like everyone else is pretty well settled as well as we make that run up into turn 4. DJ?
Eric Lonkel right here trying to take a look on Lee Anderson. They're going to go 2 wide as Anderson blocks off the inside line, holds it. You're 3 wide coming into the back there with Yost Young, Timmy Nylander, a lot of them in through turn 4 as we rise up through Siberia corner here as they continue to run 2 wide side by side, but very clean. Everybody keeping their elbows in and nobody off the track. Oh, as somebody in front gets a little bit wide.
Sebastian Johansson grabbed a little bit of dirt there. might actually avoid costing him a spot, although Andre Salander making the attack there as they get the run up here into Lukey, I believe, is now still side by side there. That is your main battle. Although up front, things get a little bit more interesting. Go up there real quick. Lee Anderson trying to make a play here on David Burns. This will be the first of many plays on the lead as we go through today. Top three doing their best right now to try to separate out. And after lap one, that's actually quite a bit of separation. The Absolute Beginners League after lap one. But here comes the big run. Eric Lukle kind of sliding out just a little bit, not right behind Lee Anderson yet, but now he's going to slot behind him as Lee Anderson makes a move for the lead. Hit the start-finish line, Lee Anderson edges him out. So lap one lead actually goes to Lee Anderson in that purple machine. David Burns in the silver arrow there. He's going to slot in behind him. Eric Lukle just trying to ride back there. Actually playing maybe the field strategy game, was something David Burns is famous for, just kind of riding at the back of that pack as the race goes on. We'll check in with those guys again here in just a minute. Let's go just behind them. Back to Timmy Nylander, Joost Junk, and Ryan Walker. These guys leading the larger pack that contains most of the rest of the field, and they're going to go at it tooth and nail here for the last little bit as well. Timmy Nylander having to give up the inside of Stoner to Joost Junk. Let's see if we can outbreak him a little bit here as they go through Honda. Not quite. Timmy Nylander is going to be able to get that move completed and stick it right there in front of him. And behind them, Ryan Walker actually loses position. Aaron Law back there just as well. Sebastian Johansson as well. As I mentioned, this is most of the rest of the field. You actually go all the way back to about 19th position. Ty Alpstead before he gets to the tail end of that pack. As no major incidents here to start this race. One of the cleanest starts we've seen in Absolute Beginners League in quite a while, but what that's going to do is maybe lead to some more post-race dramatics. Is not post-race dramatics, in-race dramatics. It'd be great if I could talk in the race as well. So, Jack, you seeing anything out there here early?
Nothing major really, just lots and lots of close, almost door-to-door battling, if you will, in a single-seater. But Lee Anderson, yeah, he's doing everything he needs to do at the front end of the field by still leading David Burns and Eric Lukle. Timmy Nylander, you can see, has not managed to shake off the attentions of Joost Junk just as yet. They come around the final few corners to round out lap two, and look, they're still dicing side to side once again. Timmy Nylander side by side with Joost Junk on the run up to turn one, and that can't exactly be representative of what's going to happen, because now look, we've got to change for the lead. David Burns up the inside going into turn one. Lee Anderson, he may have set the fastest lap on the lap prior, but David Burns with the draft assistance going down the start finish straight, throws it up the inside and gets the position made. Now going into the southern loop, in theory turn two, it's quite a long sweeping corner off camber, then back down the hill. You can really see the elevation change here. The number 337 doing everything he can to once again regain his lead. Now going through Stoner corner, turn three, and then into the downhill right-hander of the Honda hairpin. He looks to the outside as Lee Anderson, but he can't quite make anything of it just yet. On the brakes, we know he's confident on the brakes, but decides the move isn't on. But while all this is going on, Eric Lukle has got the best seats in the house. He's watching from behind, and any small mistake, Eric will get the positions. But now look, Timmy Nylander still leading Joost Junk, Aaron Lahr, Ryan Walker, and Sebastian Johansson's trying to get in on the mix as well. Lots of battling from top to bottom of the order.
And let's rewind just a little bit. Yes, Lee Anderson set the fastest lap and still lost the lead. That just gives an idea of just how close they were to come across the line at lap one, that something like that was in fact able to happen. The guys just behind the leaders still very exciting as well. Timmy Nylander, of course, still leading that pack, but as you were hearing, it's gotten very exciting back here as well. It's thrown over to DJ. DJ, have you been watching any other battles out there?
Truth be told, I've been keeping my eye on the pack right behind him with Timmy Nylander, Joost Junk, and Aaron Law as you watch it. These guys have just been slipping and sliding all over the track, letting the tail end slide out a bit. It's really a spectacular battle, as this is one of the tracks that highlights. As we jump up to the front, as we have Burns and Anderson going massively wide apart down into turn one, it looks like Anderson's going to have the advantage here. Eric Lukle just sitting back and watching as they dive down into that sweeping right-hander, setting up for the long, long hairpin of turn two.
And it looks like that backpack there of Aaron Law, Timmy Nylander, Joost Junk. Oh, Aaron Law getting sideways right in front of those two. They avoid the trouble. That got exciting there for a second. And suddenly he have a nose cone. And he's gonna get sideways here, going through the southern loop, and get split by Junk and Nylander. You see the nose cone slipping out, and all of a sudden the car breaks loose. We're just going to go ahead and go right around you, and somehow he doesn't lose all that much in the way of time. So just a few positions, a little pride loss, but those positions are still in sight. I was just getting ready to say that this backpack here that consisted of Yonk and Nylander, and it did Law, they had actually kind of stopped the bleeding time-wise to your front pack as well. They really weren't gaining on them. They really weren't losing on them. That's going to change the complexion of that a little bit, though, as well as we go through here. But that also spreads things out just a little bit. You actually now have to go back to Josh Brain in 10th and Ron Hopp as well. Actually, Josh Brain losing a few spots there, getting it gathered back up just in time to slot in front of Rob Hopp. That looks like that's another area where things are trying to heat up a little bit on the tail end of this pack, fighting to try to not to lose that draft. I bet if we back up front here, David Burns might be trying to make another move here on Lee Anderson. There he goes, David Burns, and will he lead this lap? I think he got him, so chalk that lap led up to David third degree Burns. Lee Anderson will slot behind him. Eric Lukle, by the way, did not this last time by, but he set the fastest lap, and this next time by, David Burns set the fastest lap. So you're already seeing these lap times drop lap after lap. As we drove on board here with Eric Lukle, you can see David Burns kind of slid out high there just a little bit going through Southern Loop. His entry, I don't think is exactly what he wanted out of that machine. And now the exciting run down into London. DJ?
That's right, as you see them line up for that heavy braking zone into Honda. Something to keep in mind as we go along is this F2 battle that has been going on. Andre Salander and Eric Lunkel fighting out for first place in F2. Salander's back in 9th place at the front end of this sort of third train that we have going on, trying to fight his way through it. But looking up to his main competitor, Eric Lunkel, you can see those challenges. As here we are on Salander, you can see him right in the midst, kind of leading this train. Christoph Giros right ahead of him as they try to line up into that hairpin.
Yeah, Jack, this is kind of shaping up almost exactly like what you would think here, with a little bit of a front pack trying to break away, second pack trying to catch them. I know this is your first time watching, calling an Absolute Beginners League race. I got to ask, what's your impressions here early?
Well, it's pretty much everything I was expecting and more. I don't think the name is very fitting, because Absolute Beginners, they definitely don't race like it. They're nose to tail, side by side, pretty much every single lap. And what does surprise me is that the lead three are still together. We cross the line now. Look at this. David Burns has lost the lead to Lee Anderson. Lee Anderson chalked that one in the book as one of the laps he's led. And this is something I was just about to bring up. Everybody's battling, but they're still setting purple laps. It very quickly went from Eric Lukle now to Aaron Lahr with the fastest lap of the race. A 1 minute 46.853 is the purple lap at the moment. But Lee Anderson, he's got that bit of a buffer on the run through turn 2, down through to turn 3 and 4, and those couple of tenths of a second might just make all the difference, so he can defend once again from the hard charging David Burns. But something this little lead trio have got to remember, they can't battle for too long. We've only completed 6 laps of the 23 expected. It is a 40-minute race, but if these three start battling more and more, the battle behind them with Joost Junk, Aaron Lahr, Timmy Nylander and Sebastian Johansson might just about catch up. We can see everybody side by side in the background, and I can't wait to see the way this plays out.
Yeah, and actually, let's go ahead and go back to that Young Nylander Law battle here real quick. Aaron Law setting the fastest lap on the last time by. The last time we saw him, he was sitting sideways through the Southern Loop, and he has already charged back up to take the lead of that second pack there, as Joost Junk actually just lost 2 positions, kind of trying to slide through. But that's not going to be uncommon here with this type of deal. I think Aaron Law knocking off that front nose cone, I think that's maybe allowed him to kick the afterburners bit more airflow or something like that to the engine. I can make that up because I'm on TV. That's how we're going to roll with that one. All right, so Aaron Law now sitting in that 4th position, and now getting that long run all the way from turn 11. You're pretty much full throttle almost till you get to the Southern Loop here. And up front, we're getting ready to see David Burns. He's going to make another move. These guys up in the lead are leapfrogging. That's when you try to take advantage of the fastest car, always put the fastest car in front, and sometimes it means you got to give up the lead. So they're going to constantly swap the lead right now on that front straightaway, of course, while Eric Lukle is sitting back there in fuel saving. And that's exactly what these guys here in the second pack probably need need to start doing, DJ, leapfrogging, pretty established tactic on driving on these drafting techs.
Very much so, and it's something you see a lot of in what we sort of think of as American oval racing as well. Looking back at that second pack, it looks like Tommy Nylander also has damage to the nose. I wonder if he and Law had a little bit of contact when Law got sideways. As Law now makes a pass down the inside of Nylander, and you look at the front here, as you look at these guys still just battling side by side as they are literally door to door coming through, everybody getting a little bit wide. Law going to lose 2 positions here, looking like Yost Junk may have him as he comes up through the rise here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and give some guys back behind them some love just in the inside of the top. And Christopher Giros, 9th. Actually, stay here. That one calmed down really quick back there. So now Aaron Law now still sideways here with Timmy Nylander. And these guys continue to fight. This is going to be the same here, I think, over the course of the next couple of laps as well. Let's go over to Rob Hopp, and Rob Hopp here, he's the hard charger so far today, up 6 spots from 17th to 11th, which by ABL standards is actually kind of tame. I mean, I'm used to seeing some double-digit moves, but that's okay. We haven't seen any major incidents here to start the race, so he's actually had to pick people off one by one, and this is the battle I was talking about a little bit. Teammates Frederick Neptune and Christopher Giros continuing to go at it. They've been side by side several times the last few laps, and that's kind of allowed Andre Solander to take advantage of that as well, get in front of those two. But Rob Hopp also wants to take advantage and try to get in front of them. DJ?
Indeed he does, as we are now on lap 8, and I believe we could start looking at the pit stop window to opening up. As you see in front, oh my goodness, that's 2 by 2, 4 wide right in front of them. Amazing battle from that second pack yet again. Yost Junk, Timmy Nylander, Aaron Law, and Sebastian Johansson all going at it as Junk and Nylander side by side. Junk trying to make that outside line work. I think he might just have the momentum, but it's going to switch back here to Nylander if he can keep it. And no, it does look like Junk's going to be able to hold that position as Law thinks about it on the inside, but still can't make it work as they continue to go side by side. This track just providing amazing action as Law gets completely sideways trying to make a pass work on Young as they dive down into that turn 10. They're going to stay single file for once, believe it or not.
Yeah, and seeing Sebastian Johansson, I think he's just playing the card right now, just trying to relax a little bit and stay where he's at and just watch things happen in front of him. As looks like Aaron Law has decided to go ahead and make his stop now. And this is a page out of Euro Num's book called The Early Peel, Late Reveal, coined by Soup. And it's a phrase that's worked. I don't think he liked the situation that he's in and figures that I could do better on a clean racetrack right now, and he'll try to pass them essentially in the pits once they start their pit cycle in a little bit. The problem with this, though, is the fact that is this too early? We've seen that happen before, too, where somebody misjudges it, comes in too early, runs out of fuel at the end of the race. Hopefully that doesn't happen here. I think he's close enough to the pit window. I think he'll be okay. We'll keep an eye on that here as well. So let's go ahead and go back up to that pack, which is now trimmed by one with Aaron Law pitting. Yost Junk looking to try to hold off Nylander. Can't quite do it. We're going to see these two once again swap positions quite a bit here over the next few laps. And Yost Junk imploring for them over chat to try to work together because they are losing a lot of time right now to the leaders. These guys have fallen off now by almost 5 seconds. I think we're sitting just over 4.5 seconds there, going back from third to these gentlemen here. So if they can work together, maybe they could try to stop that bleeding once again. They did earlier on there, Jack, but haven't been able to.
Yeah, they definitely did, but look back here, this is P7, this is Christopher Giros. He's currently looking to work his way up through that order, but look at the amount of people 2 by 2 by 2 in the background through turn 10, and we've Who is this led by? This is led by Christopher, then Frederick, Neptune, Rob Hop, Josh Brain, Neil Bamber, Peter Hood, and rounding out with Peter Huston. And we've got another car diving into the pits as well. And I think this is probably the point in the race where you've got to make this decision. Look at this now, side by side for P8 overall. Christopher Geros doing everything he can to defend that position. He stays on the outside, which isn't the preferred line going into turn 1. But it'll very quickly turn into the outside for turn 2. Andre Salander has got the position made before he even gets to turn 1. But we've got to remember Nylander, who we were looking at earlier, he's also carrying damage from the earlier incident at the southern loop, so that could be something that plays a part in his race as well. And the lead trio just slowly starting to disappear into the distance, but it doesn't mean we're short of any action at all, because there's 6 cars here battling all for P7, and we're just about passing the halfway point in the race.
And roll back up to the front of the pack, and these guys continuing to just circle around with Lee Anderson and David Burns swapping the lead. Eric Lukal, I'm convinced at this point that Eric Lukal is playing the fuel strategy game here, and we saw it last time out that they were able to actually save, and I believe it was David Burns was almost able to save an entire lap on everybody else just by doing exactly what Lukal is doing right now. Problem is, though, that was like a 6 or 7 car train. This is only a 3 car train, so you're not going to have quite as much savings. But even if you're able to squeeze out just a little bit, that's going to make the pit stop that much shorter here for today. Of course, Lukal looking for that win to cement himself in that F2 championship. Lee Anderson just wants to seal this thing away as fast as possible for the main championship. And David Burns had some connection troubles and got caught up in an early accident in one race as well. He's just going for race wins here at this point in the Pride, and he's doing a great job of that here right now. So he's going to go ahead and do that leapfrogging. That's what we're talking about, using that faster car to try to take advantage, let them take the lead. Fly back in. Seeing more cars come down pit road here, Jack.
Yeah, we really are. We've got lots of people coming in. We're looking at Rob Hop now diving into his pit box. Person in front of him now, Neil Bamber, and it's around a 15-second stop just for the fuel to get to the end of the race. I doubt we'll see anybody take tyres, because for most of the guys out there, it's pretty easy to manage a set of tyres all the way to the end of the race. We've now got Matt Tempest passing the pit lane with his racing buddy, which is Kai Alpstead. And look at this, Rob Hop. He was in his pit box for 15 seconds as expected. But now look who's in front of him. Neil Bamber, a great pit stop, 14.5 seconds, so around a second shorter than Rob. So he's managed to pick up a position now in 19th on the track. But in theory, that will be quite high up the order, and all will be revealed by the time everybody has gone into the pits and taken their mandatory pit stop.
Well on the head, all will be revealed, and it's part of the reason why we always liked Eurodome and his early P08 reveal, that you just never knew exactly where he was going to shake out until after everybody came in. A lot of these guys coming in on the front part of the pit cycle, your leaders will probably come in at the tail end of the pit cycle. And so that should be, oh baby, here in about the next 5 or 6, maybe about 5 laps, we'll say. I think you'll see the leaders at some point come down pit road. Maybe even a little bit sooner. Who knows? I guess we'll find out here on GSRC as we continue our round 4 coverage of at Phillip Island. Going back to P4 in the second group here, this still consists of Nylander, Young, and Sebastian Johansson looking a little bit more behaved now. Get a good idea of how much better they are behaved by looking them down the front straightaway. Yossi Uncle tried to dive down. Sebastian Johansson just hanging out back there. Oh, yeah, actually, he might. Okay, so Sebastian's like, okay, I'm done playing around. Let's see what kind of car I got here. And he's going to try to make a lead. So that's going to put Nylander at the back of that pack. They slide through turn 1, heading toward the southern loop here in turn 2. Yossi Uncle now at the front of this small pack, just as you would expect with them trying to slide together. So it does look like they have started to work together a little bit more. Unfortunately, by the time that happened, they had already lost about another 1.5 seconds to the leaders. So they are just fighting for themselves right now here as they head toward Honda. DJ, these guys will probably continue to fight here for the next little bit. Do you have your eye on any other battle across the racetrack?
Yeah, looking back at Andre Salander, the guy in competition for the F2 championship right now, as you see, he's trying to get up the inside of Gyros here. He's been working his way up. He fell back at the beginning and now has climbed his way up to 8th place he's really got to put the pedal to the metal here with Eric Neagle as far out as he is in third place. That's going to be a massive switch in points in F2 if he's not careful.
And that's going to be that's been the tough part here all season long for Andre Slander. Although he has had himself some very good races, thought maybe he could have a really great one here for today. And still a top 10, not too bad. Hey, Young and Sebastian Johansson coming down pit road, as well as Slander on your screen here. Looks like David Burns has decided to come down pit road as well. So we're starting to see the moves by your leaders. So throw it over to Jack.
So with 18 minutes of the race still to go, David Burns, the first of the lead trio to dive into the pits. The number 125 got the very end pit box, so all will be revealed once again by the time the other top two have finished. And this will be where Eric's fuel saving will come into play, because now look at all the cars we've got in the pits. David Burns, Just Young, Sebastian Johansson, Andre Salander. It's all swapping so quickly I can't keep up with it. Christopher Geros, Peter Huston, Frederick Neptune, just to name a few. And David Burns leaving the pits now. He's P6 on the track, but he did go into the pits from P2. So with Lee Anderson now out in the fresh air at the front end of the field, he hasn't got anybody else that's really pressurizing him. So he knows that Eric Neagle isn't mounting a challenge just as yet. I think Lee Anderson needs to take this time and put all his hard work and effort into these coming laps. So then when he dives into the pits, he's got around a second gap. But Eric Neagle, with all this fuel saving he's been doing, he might have stretched his tank to get another lap out, and maybe that is all the difference.
We're about to find out if Lee Anderson is going to make the decision to come down here now. He's really pinning it to the inside, and just body language driving the car. I have a feeling that he might go ahead and try to come down here, but we'll see. I think the big question mark, you brought it up there, Jack, is going to be Eric Neagle. What will he decide to do? Lee Anderson comes down. Eric Neagle will stay out another lap. So Lee Anderson comes down pit road now. Looking in, as well as Timmy Nylander. They are going to make their stops. Big question is going to be for these guys is, where is David Burns? And for Nylander, where is Just Young? David Burns continuing to round around. Lee Anderson now at his box, making that stop. Full stop, hits the marks exactly. Looking to see where Lee Anderson right now is on track. He's coming out of turn 11. Just past pit entrance, rounding turn 12 now. Lee Anderson is pulling away, and I see David Burns now just getting onto the front stretch here. That looks like that might be a huge gap if Lee Anderson can hurry up here and get up to speed. Significant gap there on the round of pit stops. David Burns now, gentlemen, has his work cut out for him, DJ.
Yes, he does, and the same thing happened to Aaron Law a little farther back as Just Young and Tommy Nylander were able to jump out ahead of him. So clearly the overcut, the way to go here as we ride on board with David Burns. Looking at the back of that stunning purple car of David Anderson. What we're going to have to be watching here is Eric Neagle, see if he's going to be able to make this overcut work. On my screens, he's going to be close on it, but this is going to be really tight as you see him slip and slide his way around turn 10 and probably dive into the pits here. That's going to be my guess, unless he's got an Alexander Rossi-like right foot. But no, he does dive into the pits. Here he goes.
Of course, referring to Alexander Rossi's win in the Indy 500 a few years back. Eric Neagle making his stop. He's just coming down pit road right now. He's down to pit road speed limit, looking for Lee Anderson and David Burns, where they are on track. And also, our director, Sean Ambrose, has the pit comparison up on the board here, so you can kind of get an idea as well as far as time. Lee Anderson and David Burns now working their way through turn 12. Still enough of a gap between them that David Burns is going to have to push. Will this work out for Eric Neagle? I think it will. Eric Neagle now away. Lee Anderson, see him in the distance. I think they're going to come out right next to each other here. Eric Neagle is going to take the long pit exit. That might have been the difference right there. I think some of the other guys took the short entrance, so he's going to come out here with David Burns. That could actually work in David Burns and Eric Lukel's favor if they could start leapfrogging and try to catch Lee Anderson. Here, Peter, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, I think I can, as you see that draft effect coming into play is what they're going to be trying to do. Yeah, it's interesting thinking about the short exit versus long exit. There was discussion in the drivers' meeting before they started, basically saying it is up to you on what you want to do. So Loicle clearly thinking that the long exit was going to help him get up to speed, and I think it may have just cost him probably 0.2 of a second, and that put him behind Burns in this position.
And looking at this battle, of course, right now, Hop going wide. This did have Josh Brain and Peter Huston in it a few minutes ago. Unfortunately, they had an incident a little while ago, and they have dropped out of this battle. Andre Slander, though, leading three-car train. Christopher Giros and Rob Hop now, right now, running for 9th, 10th, and 11th position. This is one of the only three-car battles actually remaining on the racetrack. So this, although the lead will probably shape up to be that way again here in just a little bit. But right now, this is the battle on the racetrack. Jack, Andre Slander continues just hanging on. Rob Hop, though, looking impressive.
Yeah, he really is. Looking quite aggressive, though, because there's been a couple of lockups for Rob on this lap. And with still 12 minutes of the race still to go, I'm not quite sure that's probably the best way to go about it. But Rob Hop, he's now in 10th position, looking to promote himself up into P9, and he's doing everything he can to get there. But we all know that the draft will play a massive effect, and while he is getting the draft of Christopher in front of him, Andre Salander behind will also be within the draft range of Rob Hop, as well as Rob now goes to the very outside for turn 1. It looks like he's going to get the position made before he even gets the pit exit. And around the outside, is he going to keep it? We know these cars like to move underneath you, so you've very much got to finesse your way around the outside. You can see he's got a slide on. He gets the moment all collected up on the run up to turn 2, and he does promote himself up into P9. And it looks like he might just have kept that position very close between the pairing there. Christopher had to come out of the throttle and go out onto the grass, and I think that he might just have held on to his nose cone there. It is black. It did look like it was missing, but he's just managed to keep control of his nose cone. But from what was looking like quite a dominating drive from Christopher so far, keeping in P9, he's now dropped all the way back to P11 in, 3 corners.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gains those spots back in 3 corners as well. I mean, that's just kind of how things are working out here today at Phillip Island. And one note, too, if you are new to watching the Skip Barber machines, you will see these vehicles sometimes without a nose cone. You'll see them sometimes with bent up front and sometimes bent up rear wings. I remain convinced that the aerodynamic pieces on these machines are for looks. It's just the way things have worked out in this series and what I've seen. I think you've got to have some pretty significant damage, like missing the entire front nose part, which will come off as well, to have a significant aerodynamic advantage, which is why you'll sometimes see some of these cars here without nose cones and without wings, without having a serious detriment to their lap times as well. Just want to recap what's going on up front. We can stay right here. I can verbalize this. Lee Anderson actually pulling away now from David Burns and Eric Lukel. They have not been able to gain any time on him. So this remains the battle on the racetrack right here as we ride along with Christopher Giros in 11th. A lot of these guys really wanting to get into the top 10, and one of them will be left out if things stay the way they are right now as we're working the last quarter of this race, or almost the last quarter of this race. Andre Salander here with the good look to the outside through the southern loop. He's going to have to pull back in, try to catch a little bit of the draft of Rob Hop as they make that long run here they'll hit Stoner, and then very quickly from there into the braking zone for Honda. And you could go side by side there through Honda, although it is difficult. We have seen it done even here today. But one thing you can't do is go 3 wide, which is why you saw Christopher Giros there think better of trying to do anything. But he will try to ride the momentum and try to freight train Rob Hop a little bit. Cannot get to the inside of him. Rob Hop's going to switch sides, try to take a look at the outside of Andre Salander through Siberia. Cannot quite get pulled up alongside of him, but Andre Salander giving him a lot of room. Salander has a lot on the line as far as the F2 championship. Yes, Eric Lukel's way in front of him, but he still has 2 races to go after this. Anything can happen, so he doesn't want anything to happen to his car right now. So playing it safe, even though he's dicing it up out there, DJ.
Very, very true. A very Alain Prost-like drive, just knowing that he needs to collect points and not trying to overcommit the car and try to get a win. As you see him come here, rounding the final 2 corners onto the back straight, as this battle just continues to heat up on the track. It is the best battle on the circuit. And you saw both these drivers, well, 3 of them actually, using every inch, riding those curbs like we talked about earlier, really trying to get it, as now it looks like Salander may be able to get a little bit of a tow coming into turn 1. Diving off to the inside here of Hop, trying to see if he can work, getting softly onto the brakes for this sweeping left-hander, as he does indeed make the move. Hop tries to come back, looking on the outside. He's going to lose a little bit of momentum. Can Giros not close enough to make it work, as it looks like Salander's at least going to keep this position into this lap.
And of course, Andre Salander, he's been running, and his finishes so far here this season have been 6th, 7th, and 8th. So I'm just saying, you know, 9th would pretty much work out with those kind of numbers there, and that's of course what he's out there fighting for right now here at the back end of the top 5. Still watching I think they're gonna definitely gonna be continuing this fight here for a while. Rob Hop showing a lot of fighting them here this afternoon. Christopher Giros as well. They'll want to, and of course, while they're doing this here, it actually looks like they've been gaining a little bit on Neil Bamber in front of them. So if this keeps on going far enough, this very well could turn into a 4-car battle, and those always add just a little extra dimension about what you're going to do. Maybe a 5-car battle, Sebastian Johansson just in front of Neil Bamber there. So looking at Burns and Lukel now, and of course the problem here with Lukel is he is just hanging out still behind David Burns. They have not been leapfrogging, they have not been doing anything. You can see the time difference on your screen as they continue to lose time to your leader, Lee Anderson. Lee Anderson right now, all he has to do, I think, is just run good, clean, consistent laps. The hot seat, as you would expect with him running in second, definitely belongs to David Burns, but he's going to need help up there right now, and he's not exactly getting it, Jack.
No, he really isn't, and I think that's what he's been hoping for, but he's out in the clear air, and all he's got to do is hold on for the next 6.5 minutes, and we saw only 2 laps ago on lap 16 that Eric set the fastest lap of the race, so 1 minute 40.790, and that really is quick pace, but he's not very consistent compared to Lee Anderson. He's only been about 2/10 either way of the time he's set on the lap prior, but Eric has been slowly stretching that gap to about half a second, and that isn't quite what you're looking for in a race that's this long. With it being 40 minutes, it is basically a very short endurance race, and consistency has got to play a part as well as strategy, as we now ride on board with Eric, and you can really see the gap up to David Burns now. 4/10 between the pairing, almost about half a second, and it looks like it's very much under control for it. You can see David sliding the car over the top of Lucky Heights on the downhill right-hander into turn 10 as well. And for the moment, it looks like David Burns has just kept the position, and Eric is very good at doing this, just sitting in the draft and playing his cards right, making sure that when the position becomes available, he can take it.
And of course, using the cameras there provided by Dougie Beard. I think he's using quantum mechanics or something like that to mount that thing in the roll loop. But always a good shot right over top of the driver's helmet there. Gives you an idea too of the fact that even though these Skip Barber machines, I mean, a lot of people don't really account them for being slow. David Burns sets the fastest lap, but not by enough to really make a difference in the difference between him and Anderson. But yeah, these cars, they're still doing 125 miles an hour when they go down the front straightaway. So still setting some pretty good times out there, as well as pretty good speeds. So we can go back to that battle here for a minute here. This was Andre Salander. Oh, actually, Andre Salander almost tail whips Rob Hop alongside of him, just we go. As Rob Hobbs almost going to try to return the favor. These cars getting slippy and slidey here at the end of this thing, even more than usual, as they're trying to hang on. In the process of trying to hang on, they are gaining time, hand over fist over Neil Bamber. They are now in his draft, and also by extension, Sebastian Johansson in front of them. So those guys could very well be fighting for a seventh position, as much as a seventh position, if things stay the way they are right now. But they got to first avoid contact as Rob Hopp, Andre Slander get a little bit too close for I think what they were wanting to do there. Just all they got to do is just gain a little bit of time. I think this going down this next front straightaway, I think they're going to be right underneath the rear wing here of Neil Bamber here, DJ.
I think they will be too. Is that sort of double draft from Johansson to back to Bamber to Hop is going to make it work? As you look here, Gyros may now finally be able to enter this equation. He's just kind of been sitting back, watching as everything happens, letting Hop and Salander fight it out. As now we close in on about 4 minutes to go. I think this is go time for Gyros. He looks like he has the speed, and he's just been smart about it. And if you look, I think coming down this main stretch, he's going to be able to make a pass here. It takes a little bit of a wider car around, a wider move around, trying to get that long run. He's going to line him up nice and well. As we jump back up front, Eric Lukal finally able to get around David Burns. He said, I've had enough of this. I want the lead. I'm going for it. So this could end up being a fight for the lead if he can just really put the pedal to the metal here.
And of course, that was actually a half second faster than Lee Anderson, your leader. That would have been great if they'd been doing that the last little bit, but they need more time than what they're probably going to have if they keep on putting down laps like that. But that is what leapfrogging will do. He took that advantage down the front straightaway. Now it's time for David Burns to return the favor and beyond hope, maybe try to be able to get up there still to your leader, Lee Anderson. Stick with this here for just a moment. We'll keep an eye on that backpack as well, as they have caught Neil Bamber, and he's now in that as well. So now, actually, let's go ahead and go back there, as Hop has now cleared Bamber. Andre Salander now on the outside of Neil Bamber. Bambi loses time here. They touch just a little bit. They get away with it. That is the exact kind of thing Andre Salander does not want to have happen. And that's just a product here, Jack, of those cars when they slide sideways. Sometimes you kind of can't keep track of where your left front and your right front are.
Yeah, it is something that a lot of Skip Barber drivers struggle with, because they are very much like Deers, because they've got a nice big body but quite gangly legs. And in these cars, if you just interlock wheels for a little too long, they will connect and they will fling you about a little too much. I've got to say they got away with it quite well. Only a little jump there, but look at this now. Burns trying to get back at Lukal, going into turn one and around the outside. That seems to be the preferred line, going all the way around the rumble strip for Burns, and he's quite comfortable with doing it. He's promoted himself all the way up into P2, and with only 2 laps to go, he's got to make sure he keeps this position. But Lukal is doing everything he can to get that position back, because this is for P2, so this will be how the podium will finish. And Lukal, that time by, has gone half a second slower than his fastest lap, just a little bit more. But David Burns has now got his hands full with defending from Eric round the outside at the Honda hairpin. Can he keep it all the way around? He just about slides the car in, and I think that is the way to drive these cars. Slide it in, get the nose turned in, and sometimes that works for a defense and attack.
Let's talk a little bit here about Eric Lukal real quick. He is a series veteran. He has 46 starts in this series. He's been around for several years now, and up until this season, he's always kind of just been in the mid-pack. And it's something about this season, he has become a front runner. He is up there contending. He ended up recording his best finish, his best career finish back in round 2. That was at Virginia International Raceway, of 4th. And he has a chance of being able to better that here for today, and what is going to be his 47th career starts. We're going to go back to P9 here real quick once again, as that continues to fight. Rob Hoppe actually separating himself out a little bit, as Neil Bamber has caught this pack, and they've kind of slowed their times a little bit. Now it's the end of the race. Everybody's driving a little bit more aggressively. Andre Salander right now, actually we need to go to Lee Anderson here. That's it. And okay, it looks like it might have been a problem in the game, but we just had the checkered flag. And indeed, Lee Anderson has slowed. So surprisingly, it gave us the checkered flag way early, and that's going to put a stop to those battles. It is, in fact, the end of the race. Eric Lukle coming home in third position, David Burns in second. So we obviously want to go back and take that look here. We also want to look at the battle for second. Lee Anderson coming across the line to take the checkered flag. And I think Burns was able to get Lukle at the line by only just a little bit. We'll look at the top-down here view of it. As that helicopter swings around turn 12. Looking at that draft. Look how far back he tried to come there, though, to do something. And just did not have enough time. I think if he had it at 300 yards, I think he'd been able to do something with that. Well, that was certainly surprising, but that's sometimes something that happens in timed races. So with that, we'll go ahead and we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll sort out that finishing order for you, and we'll be right back here on GSRC. That kind of caught us a little bit off guard, but it happens, and that's okay because that front pack was pretty well solidified here as Lee Anderson's going to take the win here at Phillip Island. Commanding performance from him. Called the right time to come down pit road, had a great jump coming out of pit road over top of David Burns and Eric Lukle, and they were just playing catch up from there on out. Joost Junk will get fourth position. By the way, Eric Lukle, that's his best career finish now, and Joost Junk now coming home in fourth as well. Timmy Nylander in fifth, and that might be his best career finish as well. Aaron Law in sixth, Sebastian Johansson in seventh, Rob Hopp in eighth, Andre Slander in ninth, and Christopher Giros in 10th. I think we got a couple of guys in there, DJ, that best career finishes, so great day for them here at Phillip Island.
Very much so, as Neil Bamber coming home 11th, leading or taking the tail end of that pack that we were following for a lot of the race. Frederick Neptune in 12th, Ryan Walker bringing up 13th, Eric Lundberg in 14th, Mackenzie Mann in 15th. 16th place is Map Tempest, followed by Josh Brain. Then in 18th is Kai Apstead, Dennis Rust coming home 19th, and in 20th, Kyle Apsey.
So crossing the line in 21st position, it was Peter Reed, 1 minute and 24 off the leader. In 22nd position, the number 56 of Jason Guara. 23rd position was Peter Huston, 24th, and the final runner on the road, or the final finisher, was Ravis Sissinus, and that was quite a busy race, guys, wasn't it?
Oh, it definitely was, and you could just ignore that last guy there. He doesn't know how to join the race right. So overall, though, great. I don't see anybody here waiting for us today in the ready for interview room. So I do want to say thank you, DJ, for coming on here and helping us out today. And Jack, welcome to the GSRC family. It was great to have you out there. Soup also, yes, Soup was actually here. Go ahead and say hi real quick for us, Soup.
Gather up the chickens, take covering on the cows, baby.
He was helping us in behind the scenes for today. He's had some other things going on. But overall, thank you for joining us out there. Another great Absolute Beginners League broadcast. Thanks to the Absolute Beginners League for organizing Formula Neagle and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Thanks to the company's equipment and software you see on the screen now that we use on our broadcast. The original music that gives every GSRC broad production the unique flavor and feel is thanks to June Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact her. Formula Neagle returns in 2 weeks, August 23rd, for round 5 from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And that's going to be a fun one in these cars. Believe me, I've seen it. It will be great. Wall of Champions always comes in the roll. GSRC will be there. We hope you join us. On screen now are some upcoming broadcasts. Check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find it all at www.globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. And while you're there, if you haven't done yet, become a GSRC YouTube subscriber. All you got to do is look for that red subscribe button. You know where it's at. I don't need to tell you where it's at. You know. And hey, if you're looking for a gift for every person who has everything, go check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, DJ, Jack, hey, Soup, you still get to say Soup, Sean, we'd all like to thank you, and we hope to catch you next time at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Until next time, have fun, race hard, and we'll see you at the track.